Let's try this again. Huh? 49ers game day. Back here on the stream, man. No, like I said, that was me, as my partner Damian Barling would say. Quick on the draw, earlier on. But, we back in here, 49ers game day. Ready to get this thing popping. Warren, what's up, big dog? A beautiful video with you and your daughter last night, supporting the show, supporting the brand. Appreciate you, big dog. Jose, Trey getting that first W today, headed into the bye. That would be awesome. O-line gonna have a good game today. I hope so. They're gonna need it. Jimmy G era almost back. I mean, that's a stupid report if that happens, but Jimmy not gonna be here. In the worst case scenario, Jimmy ain't gonna be here next year, so nothing to get too antsy about. Oh man. John Bull, T Green, Adam L. Let's see how he plays, man. Throw him into the fire. Let's see what it is. Hope everybody's having a great weekend as I get some stuff going. Niner fans are out there in Arizona from everything I'm seeing right now. They out there. They better get these boys a win, though. Niner fans be showing up all over the place. Better get these boys a win. Hell, they can't even win at home right now. That's a crazy thing. Yeah, we just run it because there's not really a spot for it. Might do that in the future though. I mean, I was watching a fight. I was yelling for that Wilder knockout. So, that may be where the voice is a little bit. But other than that, it was a typical night for me. I was in bed by 12:30, something like that. I was at the crib. Thought I was gonna have to go out of town, but didn't do that. Ended up being at the crib. What is that? What does that say? I don't even know what this says. Trying to read it. Oh, it's The Office. Chiron, I was trying to read that shirt. Yeah, Christopher, that was an all-timer last night. I know it's a football show. We're going to talk 49ers. We're going to talk football. But before we get on there, yeah, that was an all-timer last night. One for the ages. Tyson Fury is just a better man, just a better boxer. That's definitive now. Let's see, man. What's standing out to y'all so far on this, what are we, week 5? Week 5, this week 5 morning. The Broncos looking a little funny in the light. Lost to Baltimore last week. Now having to go to, come on, Twitch. Get it together. Now having to go to Pittsburgh, and they struggling early, so Denver may be looking a little funny in the light. Yeah. The Patriots. Patriots weak, bro. They're not gonna get it done. They got a decent enough defense, but offensively they just can't do enough. They can't do enough. What y'all think about the Bengals, man? The Bengals out here, they looking for real to some of y'all, man. What's up? We're about to get started in about a minute. Okay. Bears should get the win today. Changed my mind. I think I even changed my pick. This John Gruden thing is a mess. An absolute mess. So, yeah, they ain't winning. All right, here we go, guys. Hey, what is going on? Welcome to 49ers Game Day with your main man, Kenny Caraway, here on ESPN 1320. And like always, if you want to see me, if you want to see how I'm decked out in my Niners gear, if you want to see my, yes, handsome face, you can tap in on YouTube or on Twitch. Just put an ESPN 1320 in the search bar, and you can see the live broadcast streaming on YouTube and Twitch. And we're here to talk 49ers football, week 5 of the NFL season. And they're going into Arizona today to take on the undefeated Arizona Cardinals, 4-0. This offensive juggernaut. We'll talk about all that as the show goes along. But the 49ers, they're coming off a loss last week against the hated Seattle Seahawks, 28-21, in a game that, let's just be real, they should have won that game. They should have won. I'm not here to discount what the Seahawks were able to do or whatever the case may be, but watching that game, watching how it played out earlier in that game, the 49ers should have won. They spent the better part of the first half of that game dominating the game on both sides of the ball, at least statistically. But in the most important stat, the scoreboard, they weren't able to make a huge dent as it was only 7-0 for most of the half. And they allowed Russell Wilson, they allowed the Seattle Seahawks to hang around there. They allowed them to believe in themselves in that game. And eventually, Russ and the Seahawks did what they do. They kicked in the door and scored 21 straight points in that game between the end of the second quarter and the third quarter. And they took total control of that game by around the end of the third quarter, where I think going into the fourth, it was 21-7, and the Niners were finished at that point. So that was an extremely frustrating game for the 49ers last week. And it doesn't get any easier, as I mentioned a little earlier, as they take on the NFL's last remaining undefeated team in the Arizona Cardinals, who come into this one 4-0 off an impressive 37-20 win over the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi Stadium last Sunday. Look, man, this Cardinals team, they're looking like the real deal right now. They are absolutely looking like the real deal right now. Kyler Murray, third year, he looks great. He looks like he's taken a huge leap this season. Through his first 4 games of the season this year, Kyler has 1,273 yards in the air, 9 touchdowns, a passer rating of 115. He's also ran for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year. So he's been great. I've watched him a couple times. And one of the things that really stands out to me about Kyler Murray is the leader that he's become for this Arizona Cardinals team. There was a play last week against Los Angeles where the Cardinals were marching down the field. They were in the red zone, and there was a false start. And Kyler, not in like a pouting way or throwing your hands up or whatever, he looks at the offensive lineman who made the false start dead in the eye, slaps his hands at him, and barks at him a little bit. And once again, this wasn't in a way that was to demean or show up the player or say everything is all your fault. He said it in a way, and it came off at least on the television screen as, hey, get yourself together. We're trying to execute here. We don't have no time to have mental miscues or not be focused on every single snap. Get it together now. I loved it. I love that from Kyler Murray. I love the leadership that he's shown and the accountability that he's shown, and understanding that this is his team. This is the Kyler Murray show. He is the franchise, and he's taken that completely to heart and been a leader, everything that I've seen through 4 games. And he has also spearheaded a Cardinals offense that is by far and away the best in the game right now through 4 weeks, if you ask me. I mean, they are the best offense in the game, the most dynamic offense in the game so far. This Cardinals team, the stats back it up. They are the 5th team in NFL history to have 400-plus yards and 30-plus points in each of their first 4 games of the season. They're lighting it up. They're lighting up the scoreboard on the offensive end. So if the 49ers are going to stop their 2-game losing streak, they're going to have their work cut out for them for sure, man, because the Cardinals, they're not going to make it easy. However, I will say this. I talked about this a little bit last week when the 49ers were going up against the Seahawks, a team that was coming off a 2-game losing streak of their own, a team that had a record of 1-2 and was trying to avoid going 1-3 on the season. I said the Seahawks were going to be a desperate team. They were going to be a prideful team that was going to give the 49ers all they could handle. And with their back against the wall, the 49ers, they should have been ready and they should have expected the Seahawks to bring it. You weren't going to get a team, a 1-2 team traditionally. You weren't going to get a team that was one of the worst defensive teams in the game traditionally. You were going to get a team that was going to be fighting for their lives, essentially. And I also talked about how that Seattle team could look at a big win in San Francisco as a possible opportunity, not just something that, oh man, we've got to play San Francisco, the division rival, it's going to be tough, all this other stuff. They weren't looking at it like that. They were looking at that as an opportunity to try and jumpstart their season and start turning their season around. And all those things that I talked about for the Seahawks last week going up against the San Francisco 49ers, these are all the things that can be said about the 49ers this week going against this Arizona Cardinals team. A lot of people are counting them out. A lot of people. They're counting out the 49ers. They're dismissing them. They're seeing they're going up against an undefeated Cardinals team who, like I just mentioned, is lighting it up on the offensive end. And they're not believing that the 49ers have much of a chance today. They're not seeing that. But the 49ers could be a very dangerous team today. I don't see them getting blown out. I don't see that happening to this team today. I think they'll fight and scratch and claw in this one, and they'll give themselves an opportunity to win this game. Are they going to be able to do it? Only time will tell. I've said all week long, I could see this being a really close loss for the 49ers. But I know for sure they're going to give themselves an opportunity to win this game. And that's really what you can ask for on the road, especially going up against a team like Arizona. Get in that fourth quarter, have the lead or be within one score. Give yourself an opportunity. The Cardinals are going to get the 49ers' best effort today. I'm confident in that. And if they don't, they got a whole lot of problems in that 49ers locker room to deal with. Because like I mentioned before, the 49ers are probably looking at this game as an opportunity once again an opportunity to get their season back on track going into the bye week next week. Things haven't been perfect, but if they can get to that bye week at 3-2 and slowly but surely starting to heal up from some of these injuries that they've suffered, I think they take that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. And speaking of injuries, I guess this entire time, bad job by me, I'm burying the lead a little bit with this game, because the story of this game is really probably due to a calf injury from Jimmy Garoppolo, that one that he suffered in the first half of the game last week against the Seahawks. The story of this game is Trey Lance. Trey Area, as people like to say, will make his first ever start at quarterback today for the 49ers. The Trey Lance era will begin today in Arizona. He came in last week in that Seahawks game in the second half, like I mentioned, when Jimmy Garoppolo suffered that calf injury in the first half. Trey came in the second half, and it was an up and down experience from Trey Lance. It was an up and down performance by him. He went 9 of 18, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns in one half of play against the Seahawks. And while I saw him looking pretty shaky to start the second half, much like what I've seen almost every time I've watched Trey Lance play this season and in this preseason. Well, like I said, at least in the preseason, the snaps that I've seen. What I've seen from him traditionally is the more he plays, the more comfortable he tends to get. And I saw that from him last week against the Seahawks. I saw he started out shaky. Things were moving fast. He was looking a little robotic. The more that he played, he started to get more comfortable. He started to get more fluid, get more decisive, look to be a playmaker a little bit more. And that's just what I believe is going to be Trey Lance's development as the year goes along. The other thing about that game last week is that he was thrown into the fire with a game plan that 100% was not his. And I thought he managed it pretty well, man. I thought he did okay. One thing that we saw was his ability to extend plays and make unscripted plays, so to speak. And we also saw that he's a home run hitter. We saw on the big play to Debo. We saw him keep a drive alive multiple times when the offensive line was collapsing. We saw all that. And look, the thing I've continued to say when it comes to Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo and all this other stuff, the thing that I've continued to say is, as long as Jimmy G was healthy to start the season, I was in favor of starting Jimmy. I was absolutely in favor of that. But as we saw the season progress and we saw some of these games play out, I've watched what he's been doing out there when you talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. And I've seen the performances like 12 of 23, 187 yards to 3 quarters. Or a half like he had last week when he was 14 and 23, 165 yards and a touchdown. And I'm sitting there and I was like, yo, the rookie can do this. Trey Lance can go out there and do this. Why not put the kid out there? Especially when you talk about being able to put together a game plan that suits his game and his strengths. He can do that. So it's time, man. It's time. He didn't necessarily want to see it happen this way with Jimmy getting hurt again. You don't want to see that. And to be honest with you, I feel bad for Jimmy. I really do. I feel really bad for Jimmy that his body just continues to let him down and isn't able to hold up for an extended period of time in the NFL. I really do feel bad for the guy. But it's time, man. It's time. The Trey Lance era has begun in San Francisco. And I don't care what the reports are saying about, they're still planning to start Jimmy Garoppolo if he's healthy, in week 7 and all this stuff. I don't care about all that. That's just going to be a preliminary situation. It's a formality. Jimmy's gone soon. The Trey Lance era gets underway today. Now, unfortunately for Trey, he's going to have to do it without the best offensive weapon he has on the team in George Kittle. He'll be out today. He'll be out for the next few games as he was placed on IR on Saturday and will miss at least 3 games. So That's going to be unfortunate for him. That's going to be one less target Trey will have in his first start, but we'll see what he has, and we'll see what Kyle Shanahan has as well, as he's been under the gun the last few weeks, and he'll have to show what he has as a play caller and a head coach and trying to make sure he puts Trey and this team in the best position possible to get a massive road and massive divisional win today in Arizona. As Gorilla Monsoon used to say in WWF Superstars broadcast, you can cut the tension with a knife, and there's certainly a bunch of tension with the 49ers right now, and we'll see how it all plays out. We're just getting started here on 49ers Game Day. We're going to take a quick break, but we have to look around the league, get you caught up on the NFL scoreboard and the 10 a.m. games. We'll hear from Kyle Shanahan and some of his thoughts as Trey Lance makes his first NFL start. And we'll talk to our guy, Kyle Madsen from the Candlestick Chronicles. He was on D-Lo and KC earlier this week. We'll replay some of that interview as he talked about all things 49ers. As we get ready for 49ers Cardinals in Arizona. Big game for the 49ers here in week 5. It's 49ers Game Day. It's Kenny Caraway right here on ESPN 1320. Good looking, man. Let's see what the chat got going on. Well, Manny still wants the Astros to win, wants the sweep. All right, Adam, you got the Packers narrowly beating the spread at a -2. Stephen Brown in the house. What's up, man? Let's go, Niners. Yes, sir. Me and Stephen Brown finally see eye to eye about something. It's my guy, though, man. Stephen, a good dude. Funny dude, man, in the chat. Yeah, Leezy, unfortunately, I saw that coming, especially when he didn't do much of anything in the second half last week. I didn't think he was going to be playing this week. Let's see what else we got going on. We got guys warming up. DJ Jones missed practice early. He's warming up. That's crazy. Let's see what's going on in here, man. What's going on? Yeah, that's a good one. He is a dry blanket Stephen Brown on the Niners Sunday. Absolutely. No WBS here. Oh, there he is. WBS back in here. You know, the funny thing about this is I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do. But I think Jimmy trying to fight back and play and all this. I'm like, just go away. Go away. Let us move on with our lives, man. I'm at that point with Jimmy, especially since he wasn't like tearing it up to start the season. He was playing cool. He had some cool moments, but it's like, you're not killing. Just go away. This is the 49er show, but Poker Pro, yes, I absolutely am upset that the Giants got a split. They're not down 0-2, but they're not in a good spot. I really don't know what you're talking about, Poker Pro. The series may never come back to San Francisco. Well, Poker Pro, that's the problem. We're not married to Jimmy Garoppolo. We know that we're about to break up with him. So just go away. Do it now. Hold on, guys. Coming back.
Back to the ESPN 1320 Niners pregame show with KC, Kenny Caraway.
Play action by Garoppolo. Looks out right. Going to throw for the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown to Ross Twilly. Touchdown! San Francisco! Same formation, pistol, shortened shotgun with a back behind Lance. He rides the mesh point, going to pull it now and throw down the right sideline, wide open, Deebo Samuel. He catches it 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown! San Francisco!
Deebo Samuel getting the party started for Trey Lance.
49ers game day here on ESPN 1320 with your main man, Kenny Caraway, getting you ready for the 49ers going up against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Is it still State Farm Stadium or State Farm Dome? I don't even know what that place is called anymore, but they're in Arizona. You heard right there Deebo Samuels with his big touchdown catch last week in that second half against the Seattle Seahawks. Deebo Samuels having a hell of a start to the season, man. He has 490 yards through the first 4 games of the season. He leads the NFL in receiving yards, and his 490 yards are second through 4 games in franchise history behind, obviously, the greatest player to ever play the game, Jerry Rice, who had 522 yards through 4 games in 1995. Another crazy stat about what Deebo's done to start the season is, as Deebo heads into his 5th game of the season, if he didn't gain a yard today, his 490 yards would still be good for 9th most ever in the history of the franchise. Now, we don't want that at all because I don't think the 49ers win if Deebo doesn't have a yard in this game today. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to need him to improve on that number. But the point still stands. He's been one of, if not the best receiver in the game to start the season this year. And the 49ers and Trey Lance, they may need to lean on him heavy today if they're going to pull out the upset in Arizona against the Cardinals. Another thing that I saw earlier in the week that caught my eyes, the 49ers defense. It's been much maligned this year, and for whatever reason, it's been looked at as a weak link of this team. And I shouldn't say for whatever reason, because I get it. I understand why the defense is the unit that people don't have much confidence in, especially when you talk about the secondary and a secondary that's already thin coming into the season, and they've lost maybe their best corner in Jason Verrett. I get all that. But in last week against the Seahawks, the 49ers started out on the defensive end, started out like gangbusters. They started out like gangbusters, forcing 3 and outs left and right. And they forced 11 3 and outs so far this year against opposing offenses. That ranks 3rd in the NFL over the last 2 weeks. All right. I mean, I read the stat wrong. That's my mistake. They have 11 3 and outs in the last 2 weeks. Not over the whole season, over the last 2 weeks. And that ranks 3rd in the NFL in that time period. And even better, they've been 1st in the NFC during that time span. The only 2 teams that have more 3 and outs over the last 2 weeks are the Bills with 13 and the Bengals with 12. Also over the last two weeks, and mind you, these are 2 straight losses. We talk about the 49ers secondary being much maligned. They've seen the return of cornerback Emmanuel Mosley. Last 2 weeks, he's been matched up with Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf, 2 of the best receivers in the game. And in those 2 weeks, he's put up numbers of 12 targets, 6 catches allowed for 76 yards, and 3 pass breakups with no touchdowns against Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf. He's been really, really good against 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. And as good as those guys are, he's stepping up to a whole nother level this week, going up against maybe the best receiver in the game in DeAndre Hopkins. So it doesn't get any easier for Mosley, but this is the Emmanuel Mosley we expected to see in 2020. He was a damn good rookie in 2019 and got the ultimate praise from Richard Sherman earlier in that season. And I think it might have even been coming into training camp. But I remember Sherman hyping up the undrafted cornerback out of Tennessee, Emmanuel Mosley. And I was like, really, Sherm? You think he's going to be that nice? But he was on point during that season, the 2019 season. And hopefully Mosley is getting back to being a borderline shutdown corner this year, and the same guy that we saw in the rookie season. So Emmanuel Mosley has been a bright spot, and his return has probably made it where the 49ers are a lot more competitive than they would have been without him. Where would this team be without Emmanuel Mosley? So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. We're going to hear what Kyle Shanahan had to say during the week, but wanted to look at the scoreboard and what's going on around the NFL. Thursday in the NFC West, they were on center stage, and the Rams, they beat the Seahawks 26-17. The big story coming out of that is finger injury, a ruptured tendon in the middle finger for Russell Wilson on his throwing finger, has him out 6 to 8 weeks. That is a huge blow to the Seahawks. So they lost the game, and they lost the war as well, losing Russell Wilson on Thursday. Earlier today, I didn't see any of this, so I don't really know what's going on. I just know the final score. The Atlanta Falcons, they beat the New York Jets 27-20. Matt Ryan, what a big-time game, 33 of 45, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, the rookie, big performance for him, 9 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown as they played that one in London. So the Falcons get their second win of the season. Games going on right now in the third quarter. The Packers are up 16-14 over the Bengals. Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 29, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams continues to be a menace all over the league. 8 receptions, 125 yards, and a touchdown for him. In Minnesota, the Vikings are up 13-6 over the Lions. Kirk Cousins, 14 of 18, but only 155 yards and a touchdown on the day. Justin Jefferson, 5 receptions, 104 of those 155 yards have gone to Justin Jefferson for Kirk Cousins. They're up 13-6, middle of the third quarter. The Pittsburgh Steelers trying to get a big win as they took on the 3-1 Denver Broncos. They're up 17-6 right now in the third quarter. Big Ben, 8 of 14, 165 yards and a touchdown. But Najee Harris, 19 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown on the day. He's carrying the load for the Steelers as they lead in the middle of the third. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 24-10 over the Dolphins. Sorry, Jesse. 11:34 to go in the third quarter for that one. 18 of 27, 241, and 3 touchdowns for Tom Brady on the day so far. In the nation's capital, the football team trailing the Saints 20-13 as the third quarter just kind of got started there. Jameis Winston, 8 of 16, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. The Saints come into this game 2-2, trying to get back on the winning side of things after their loss last week to the Giants in overtime. The 3-1 Carolina Panthers, 15-6 over the Eagles so far as they are just getting into the third quarter in that one. Sam Darnold, very pedestrian at best, 12 of 22, 86 yards, but he does have a touchdown. The Panthers defense is looking for real, making life miserable for the Eagles so far. In Jacksonville, the fighting Urban Meyers, or the non-fighting Urban Meyers, are struggling. 31-13. The Titans are beating them down. Ryan Tannehill, 11 of 17, 175 yards and a touchdown in that one as they're taking care of business. And you want to talk about struggling. The New England Patriots, they just can't get anything going on the offensive end. 22-12 is the score in Houston as the Texans are taking care of business down there in Houston. The other games going on in the afternoon. We got the Bears going up against the Raiders in Las Vegas. The Browns against the Chargers in LA. That's going to be a big game. I think a lot of Brown fans are going to be at that game. That'll be interesting. The Giants against the Cowboys in Dallas as the Cowboys look to go 4-1. And Sunday Night Football, a good one tonight is the Bills are in Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. In a big game there for both teams as the Bills come into that one 3-1, and the Chiefs are 2-2 on the season. Getting back to this game in Arizona with the 49ers and the Cardinals, we talked about it a little bit in the opening. Trey Lance, first start ever in the NFL, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, a 4-0 team, the last undefeated team in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan talked earlier in the week about Trey Lance with his first ever start and how things are going on in practice leading up to this week against the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, just with it being his first start and stuff, just trying to give him stuff he's comfortable with, stuff we put him through. You don't want to sit there and make up too much new stuff. There's only a couple of days to practice it, and you just want to make sure he's comfortable as possible.
Yeah. He also talked a little bit more about Trey Lance in his first start of his NFL career.
Yeah, that's how I feel every week, though. Even quarterbacks who played 1,000 games before, you have quarterbacks who have thrown, are great throwers, and all of a sudden one day they struggle. So that's how the league is every single Sunday. I'm excited to see him play. I know he's got the ability to do a lot of things. But, it's going to be his first time out there for the whole game. And I'm just pumped to see him play, but I don't go into it expecting anything. You try to prepare a guy as good as you can. From our standpoint, I know he's done his part in preparing. And then when Sunday comes, that's usually the spot where you get to have fun and just cut it loose and you live with the results.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's exciting, man, to see Trey Lance out there. This is a guy they traded the farm for. So to see him out there finally, can't wait. Steve Young, he talked earlier in the week about how he saw a lot of young Steve Young in Trey Lance and in that performance that he had against the Seattle Seahawks. And Kyle was asked that question about if he saw some of the same things. Here's what he had to say about that.
I can see why he says that. I was pretty young when Steve first started, but I have an idea of it. And Steve, I don't know when he first started if it was always good or bad, but he was running around and getting after it. And so I think he always gave his teams a chance to win regardless. I think Steve became basically the later parts I know of Steve from when I was in high school, at least. He was a surgeon. The ball went to that right spot every time. I don't know if that was always the case. But that's how it is for a lot of people in this league. When you start out, it takes time to get that automatic and stuff like that, and very few people do get there. But guys like Steve, in the meantime, while he learned, he was still making a ton of plays, and I think that's how you could relate to him.
Absolutely. And lastly, Kyle Shanahan talked about the 4-0 Arizona Cardinals and what he's preparing to face down there in Arizona.
I think they've gotten better in every facet. I thought they had a good team last year. I think their offense has gotten better, just playing with the same guy, a lot of the same guys still who have gone better, but the guys that they've added have helped them a ton too. I think on defense, playing advanced system a whole another year helps all the guys who have done it, and their additions have really helped. Their secondary to me is a lot better. Their front is healthy. Some of the guys that they lost last year, plus adding guys like J.J. Watt is huge. And the investments they made at linebacker add some talent out there. So, it's just across the board, they've gotten a lot better.
Yes, indeed, man. Kyle is going to have to be on his A game down there as the head coach and the leader of men, as I talk about so much. If the Niners are going to get this win in Arizona against an undefeated Arizona Cardinals team. It's 49ers game day here on ESPN 1320. Let's pause real quick for a little station identification. Back here on 49ers game day, and I talked about it earlier. Kyle Madsen of Canister Chronicles, he came on D-Lo and KC earlier in the week, and he talked a little bit about everything that was going on with the 49ers. And the first thing that we wanted to know was how much does a week of preparation and practice on a specific game plan really help Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan as he's going into his first ever NFL start? Here's what Kyle had to say.
It's going to make all the difference. The fact that they will They're going to I don't think we're going to recognize the 49ers offense on Sunday. Yeah, I think they're going to strip it down just for now. Like, I don't think the offense we're going to see Sunday is the offense they're going to want to run long term. But they know what Trey Lance is good at and what he's not good at. And if the coaching staff is worth a damn, which I think it is, they're going to make sure that they're playing to his strengths, which I think right now means we're going to see an offense that looks a lot like the one that Washington ran in Robert Griffin III's rookie year. Run heavy, taking advantage of the fact that their quarterback can make plays with his legs, and then designing throws down the field off of play action. So the throws I think we see those little designed kind of easy throws on the play action boots and all that. But I also think we see some deeper shots where they take advantage of his bigger arms. So I think the fact that they're going to be able to install that game plan all week and he's going to get those reps, and the receivers too, this is the biggest thing. On those scramble drills against Seattle, when the pocket broke down and he got outside of it, the receivers weren't breaking off their routes and getting back to him. When he broke to the right, Deebo Samuel was keeping his route to the left, for example. So I think having a chance for the receivers to work on that throughout the week is going to be a big deal, because I think there's a chance for them to make some big plays on those scramble drills.
Do you think that Kyle Shanahan knew this all along, as far as Jimmy's not going to be able to go, it's going to be Trey Lance? Or do you think he was really holding out hope that Jimmy Garoppolo would start on Sunday?
No, I think they knew right away. In fact, I think the tell was in Jimmy Garoppolo's post-game press conference, he said, I'm hoping it's only a couple of weeks or something. Which to me, he said that in response to a question of if it was a torn Achilles. So my guess is immediately after the game, or at some point during the game, he got a test and the trainer said, it's not your Achilles. Your Achilles is there. It's not the Achilles. But you probably strained something. You're probably looking at a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Because what do players say if they get hurt and they go to the podium after the game and they go, hey, it looked like you were kind of holding your arm funny. They always go, I'm fine. Like, yeah. I'm good to go. Yeah. No player ever says, yeah, hopefully I'm only out a couple weeks. Somebody told him he was going to miss time. Mm-hmm. And I think the 49ers were just trying to make sure that Arizona was maybe spending at least a little bit of time game planning for Garoppolo. I think they've known since last week.
Okay, which brings up the next question. Does anyone think that Arizona spent time game planning for Jimmy Garoppolo?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a little bit. But I think that it's a lot easier to, because he's so limited, it's a lot easier to game plan for Trey Lance. Like, hey, we're going to defend zone reads, and we're going to defend read options, and here's all the things that we think he's going to do. And then if Garoppolo plays, it's like, all right, well, hey, just defend a 10-yard box between the hashes, and we're all set.
And it just. Well, I was going to say, to be fair, in the 15 seconds that we talked to Josh in Arizona, he didn't say like. Yeah, they were kind of preparing for Jimmy Garoppolo as well. Like what you would want to happen in that situation happened. Like they had to prepare for Jimmy and take a look at Trey. So I don't know. Maybe it worked. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much it can work in general.
Is that really a big deal?
Right. I can't imagine Cliff Kingsbury goes to the podium after the 49ers win 24-16 and goes, you know what? If we just hadn't spent that time game planning for Jimmy Garoppolo, I think we would have had this one. That's not happening. So I think it's just NFL coaches, they want every little tiny edge. And okay, if they spent 30 minutes working on Jimmy Garoppolo specific things, that's 30 minutes that they weren't spending on Trey Lance. So,
okay,
it's little edges.
Follow-up question in the back. What exactly is game planning for Jimmy Garoppolo?
That's what I'm getting at. Like, okay. You just
Jimmy Garoppolo things.
Formation tendencies, where he likes to go with the ball in certain situations.
3 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's what I said. You just stack it inside the 10 yards within the hash marks. Safeties you can cheat up because you're probably not going to get beat deep.
It sounds easy.
It does. It doesn't require a lot of creativity from Vance Joseph, their defensive coordinator.
Wow. So another thing that came out of this game, it's not official just yet, but looks like George Kittle's not going to play. And I kind of read the tea leaves there. You got this game here. He's not 100%. You got the bye coming up after that. You can still 2 weeks of recovery for George Kittle. Is that it's always an issue when George Kittle doesn't play, but does Trey Lance kind of miss a security blanket now without George Kittle there, or did it seem like in the times that he did play, he didn't even really look that much to George Kittle anyway?
Yeah, and the fact that his first throw against the Seahawks was like the easiest throw in Kyle Shanahan's offense. On that play action boot, George Kittle goes with him and he stuffed it in the ground 3 yards away. Like, that was tough.
Yeah.
No, I think the bigger issue is not so much not having that security blanket, because I think Deebo Samuel can be that. Honestly, like, Ross Dwelley isn't going to create explosive plays the way George Kittle does. But when he had to fill in for Kittle in 2019, he did a nice job. He finds soft spots in zones and he sits down and he's going to make the catch. Like, he's not going to go anywhere after the catch, but he's going to catch it. So I think that'll be fine. The bigger issue is that element of a linebacker or a safety has to make a choice when George Kittle starts to run block on a play action. They don't have to now think as much about defending Kittle if he does come off that block to go run around. You know what I'm saying? Like, that versatility and his ability to create explosive plays in the passing game, losing that's what's harmful for the 49ers. Because now, if it's Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelley in a 2 tight end set instead of Kittle and Dwelley, it's easier for the defense to attack San Francisco's offense at that point, because there's less danger coming from the tight end spots.
Which also leads me to ask Kyle Shanahan, what Kenny just mentioned, he's doubtful. George Kittle's doubtful for this weekend. So with that, their run game is not there. Like, it's not hitting. Like, it's not working. Now you're potentially moving. You just laid out the scenario with Kittle as a run blocker, or now you have like bad on bad. And of course, Trey Lance hopefully can add a little bit, to the run game as well. But there are flaws. There are issues, I think, with this team outside of the quarterback position. We've been focused on Jimmy Garoppolo. We've been focused on Trey Lance coming in. But there are problems. There are other flaws with this team. There are other flaws with the offense. And I think the run game is a big part of it. Now, with Kittle potentially out, is Trey Lance enough to offset it and make it better? And kids, when you grow up, don't ask long-winded questions like this. It's like I started a question and didn't know how the hell to get to the end of it, but you're nodding your head, so I think you got the gist of what I was trying to say.
It sounded like you were asking if there are bigger problems with the 49ers offense than the quarterback situation.
See, that's how you ask a question right there. That.
Okay. I just wanted to
that's make sure that's why you're great at what you do.
So yeah, there are for sure, but I think 2 things about the run game. One, Elijah Mitchell coming back, and I know that sounds silly for a 6th-round rookie to be an impact playmaker, but he has. I called him when they drafted him. I called him like the off-brand Raheem Mostert. He has that speed to get to the edge. Kirkland brand. I didn't know where sponsorships were. I didn't want to shout out.
Well, we called you Kirkland Kyle earlier this week. I know you're a big fan of Kirkland.
I do love a Kirkland product, bro. So Mostert has that speed to get to the edge. He can break tackles. We saw it in the Lions game. That his 43-yard touchdown against the Lions was like a peak Raheem Mostert, get to the edge, find the hole, get through it, break a tackle, gone. And so I think him returning is going to help their run game a lot. But also, and Chris Biederman, my partner on Candlestick Chronicles, brought this up. He thinks that, and I agree with him, Trey Sermon was drafted to play with Trey Lance in that inside zone read option scheme where he's lined up in the back end of the pistol and he's going to take that. He's going to either take the handoff or Lance is.
No,
it's not our day.
Nobody
he's probably still talking. He has no idea he's frozen either.
No,
he's back. It's a tough day for D'Lo and KC.
Tracer in the pistol.
I'm going to truncate this. He's better at running inside than he is running outside. Yes. And so being in the pistol with Lance is going to help Trey Sermon and as a result, the 49ers run game.
So that's it's interesting you say that. Because I agree, because I mentioned earlier how I think Well, if Kyle Shanahan had it how he'd want Raheem Mostert there. But if you don't have Raheem Mostert, that's when he has these 3 or 4 different running backs that do different things, right? You got Trey Sermon if you want to run in between the tackles. You have Hastings and Elijah Mitchell when you want to do your toss and your sweeps and things of that nature. Well, one of the issues I felt with Trey Sermon, and his performance being out there is he was kind of thrust as being the only back into doing things that he's not good at, like the tosses and the sweeps. And I think, to your point, getting Elijah Mitchell back, now Kyle can kind of, have those running backs specifically in for the runs that they're good at, whether it's Trey up the middle, Elijah out to the edges.
Yeah, I think that's 100% spot on. I think they were brought in to play together. Raheem Mostert's in the last year of his contract. I think they were specifically brought in because they are different styles of backs, and they're designing an offense around Trey Lance. And I think we're going to see that on Sunday, or at least parts of it.
I think there's Kyle Madsen with us here on D-Lo and KC on ESPN 1320. I think there's multiple schools of thought here, but what do you think the impact of the bye week is on Trey Lance?
That depends a lot on how he plays Sunday. Because I'm of the mind that, and I'm going to write about this at NinersWire.com, but I'm of the mind that this is like a perfect scenario for Kyle Shanahan. Because not that he would root for Jimmy Garoppolo to be hurt. You never want to see a player hurt, but it's a minor injury that he should be back from after the bye week, it sounds like. Like he was going to try and play this week, gets this week off, gets the bye week. But what this allows Kyle Shanahan to do is start Trey Lance. And if Lance plays well, the Niners don't even have to win. If he looks good and plays well and looks like he improved by playing that second half against Seattle, getting the first team reps during the week, and then getting 4 quarters of live football against the Cardinals, and he looks better, now they can continue with Lance, because his messaging the entire time, we've gotten so wrapped up in who's the starter, who's QB1. His messaging the entire time is Jimmy Garoppolo's QB1, Trey Lance is QB2, and we're going to go with the quarterback that gives us the best chance to win. Who gives us the best chance to win? That's been his thing the whole time. So if Lance goes out and plays well, he can now go into the bye week and get Lance another week, well, A, some time off, but B, some time to get integrated into the offense and expand the offense a little bit more. And then go into week 7 saying, we think Trey now gives us the best chance to win.
Well, that was Kyle Madsen earlier this week on D-Lo and KC. And to be honest with you, it doesn't look like that's going to be what happens. There's reports out there that no matter how Trey Lance looks today, Jimmy's going to be the starter if he's healthy in week 7. That's a whole nother thing that we can get into and that we can talk about later on, because that sounds crazy. The most important thing is we need Trey Lance to look good today. All right. We need him to be going at it today with Kyler Murray, with the Arizona Cardinals, and playing well. Real quick, we have the inactives for the 49ers here today against the Cardinals. Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Banks, 2nd round pick, still inactive. That's crazy. Ambry Thomas, 3rd round pick. I think he was maybe a 4th round pick. Either way, inactive. Zach Kerr is inactive. Buster Skrine, they just signed him not too long ago. He's inactive. K'Wan Williams and Juwan Jennings is inactive. Travis Benjamin, who they brought back from the offseason. They cut him when they had to cut down. They brought him back, and he's going to be active today. Juwan Jennings will not be active today. A couple of injury notes as well. We mentioned earlier, George Kittle, he's going to be out, but Trent Williams should be in. And that was a big concern for the 49ers last week after he went down against the Seahawks. So to have him back in there, that's going to be big time. Trey Lance is going to need his big guy on that left side of him and making sure he protects that backside for sure. Real quick, before we get into Kenny's Keys, I want to check in with my main man, Quint Mayo, for those that like to bet on the games and talk about the games in that way. Quint Mayo came on courtesy of the BetQL Network, BetMGM tonight, earlier this week on D-Lo and KC, and he told us what he thought about betting on this 49ers Cardinals game.
Oh, this is such a tough one, man. I love Trey Lance, though. I think he has a lot of potential, gets his first start. The line has been all over the place. Open up at 4. quickly went to 4.5. Now it's at 5. Would not be surprised that line gets to 5.5. And I like those 49ers in this one. I know I'm going against the public because the public is all over the Cardinals because the Cardinals hit a perfect game last week. I mean, if you get the Cardinals with that offense and they don't beat themselves and turn the ball over, then, hey, good luck. Good luck. But the fact of the matter is they don't play that way often. So with that being the case, you also have to factor into you're going to see a different offense in totality. Number one, you walk into the season and you say, okay, well, what are we going to see out of the 49ers offense? And then they go with the 2 quarterback sets and things of that nature. Like, okay, you kind of get used to it. Maybe you're getting a little bit feel. And now Trey Lance as the full-time starter, that offers up a significantly different look to defenses. You have no real tape on him being an every down quarterback for 4 quarters. I think that's something that the Cardinals are going to have to deal with. If anything, I would lean in this game to get the San Francisco 49ers to cover 5. But I would also wait until the game gets closer to kickoff because I think that the line is going to keep moving. I wouldn't be surprised if it closed at 6. I like it even better. I'm going to take a chance with San Fran, or excuse me, I was schooled today. I'm going to take a chance with Frisco.
That could get ugly. That could get ugly saying San Fran, Q. Come on.
I know. I got schooled really quickly on another station, so I would no longer say that. I'm going to take a shot with Frisco and they're covering this one. Also, they're plus 190 on the money line too. Like, why not? Why not? I love Trey Lance and I believe in him. So we'll see what happens.
I like that. I like that from Q. And then right now it's still at -5. I would take the 49ers as well. I think this is going to be a close game. The way they make it a close game is by following Kenny's keys to a 49ers victory. And I got 3 of them for you here today. The first one, get into that red zone. I've talked about it last week. I talked about it, I think, the week before. But if they can get into the red zone, the 49ers continue to be perfect in that red zone, not only scoring points, but they're perfect with scoring touchdowns in the red zone. A perfect 9 for 9 scoring touchdowns when they get into the red zone. It'll be interesting to see if that continues with Trey Lance in there and his ability to read things in the red zone as a rookie. But look, they can be even more dynamic down there with the threat of Trey being able to use his legs as opposed to Jimmy and what he brings to the table or doesn't bring to the table with his lack of running ability. And actually, Trey Lance has accounted for, I think, 3 of those red zone scores on the season. So if the 49ers can make 4 trips to the red zone, I think they'll continue to cash in the red zone and score touchdowns down there. That'll get them a victory. Another thing, we talked about Deebo Samuels and the great season that he's having so far to start the season and how he is leading the league in receiving yards. I need him to get 100 yards of receiving today. And if he can do that, Trey Lance will be successful, and so will the 49ers. And last but not least, get back to the grind. Get back to what you do. Run the football. If they can get 125 yards on the ground, the 49ers will win this game. I can't wait to see it. This has been 49ers Game Day. It is 49ers Cardinals coming straight at you here on ESPN 1320. Go Niners. Ooh, got that close. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, man. 49ers Game Day pregame show is a wrap. Make sure you check back in. I'll have the postgame show. We'll be talking about, hopefully, a 49ers win. Hopefully. That's the plan. But I'm going to go ahead, watch the rest of these games, get ready for this Niners game. And, man, once again, appreciate you guys getting in here, man, for sure, man. And then getting ready for this game day with me, man. So I'll be back with the postgame show. Appreciate you again. Y'all be good. I'm up out of here. Peace.